Here's the headline, big guy. You know we're going to Fat Camp today. Weight Watchers is adding next-generation weight loss drugs like Wegovy to its program. Karen Weintraub brings us the news in the USA Today. I'm assuming good old Karen is not Woke MAGA.
Nah, she's science. She's a science writer, so we give science writers a break.
Okay, good. Here's a little bit of the backstory. Weight Watchers, for more than 60 years, the standard bearer of diet and exercise programs for weight loss, is getting into the medication business. Company purchasing a year-old telehealth startup called Sequence, which will give patrons the option to request anti-obesity medication along with their monthly membership. The drug Wegovy, which I think we've talked about before, can help people lose as much as 15% of their body weight. It costs $1,300 a month. There's another one called Tirzepatide. It'll help you lose up to 20% of your weight. While most people lose weight through diet and exercise, regain the weight, medications are expected to be taken indefinitely to keep pounds from creeping back. I know that you've dabbled with the Weight Watchers over the years. So when you saw this headline, your initial thoughts, big guy?
Well, yeah. I actually do Weight Watchers right now, but I don't do any of the stuff from Weight Watchers. I simply use it for the weigh-in because I need some old lady sitting in front of me going, listen, you fat bastard, you gained 3 pounds this week. It is. I am absolutely a competitive person, and I do not want to get on a scale in front of some little old lady who tells me, listen, you fat bastard, you ate too much this week. So it's a great motivator for me personally, but that's the only thing I use about it.
So, but do you pay the $15 a month or whatever?
$30 a month, baby, for this accountability. That's it. That's all I pay for.
So let me just see if I have this right about Weight Watchers. It basically gives everything a point, and then you can eat as much of these points a day, and kind of puts everything in a category. So and then they weigh you at the end of the month. So
or whenever you go in, you can weigh in once a week or whatever.
You really need, is it the accountability? Is that why you do the Weight Watchers?
Yes. And I think that, again, like I said, I've never liked the point thing. I use this really, really great app called Lose It. It's $30 a year. It's amazing.
So that's different than you pay $30 to Weight Watchers and then $30 to Lose It.
$30 a month to Weight Watchers and then $30 a year for this Lose It app. As you know, I've struggled with my weight as a guy, as a former offensive lineman in college, with a young daughter. I did not want to be one of those guys. I found myself just edging up, getting over. I was, a couple biscuits over 3 bills. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I was feeling like crap. Everything was hurting. Getting older is hard. You're going to gain weight. It's just how it is. We're not exercising the way we did when we were younger, those kind of things where our metabolism slows. So for me, it was a health change, a lifestyle change to do it. But I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about there's a huge industry, obviously, around weight loss, $1 billion industry. But what Weight Watchers has always been is this thing where, hey, if you do these points, you can lose this weight. And it works, but it's hard to stay on it. And it's hard to maintain it. And that's always been the criticism of that. They've been offering this false narrative that if you just did it, you could. And what they found is the research actually showed that people will lose weight for a little while, and then eventually they'll gain the weight back. It's too hard to stay on it. And so why the medication is such a big deal, because fat people, and let's be honest, it is fat people, right? It's fat. You're fat. You're fatty. I'm a fatty, right? But
let me just,
some of that's genetic.
The number one predictor of fatness or overweightness is genetics, and it's not even close.
No, not even close. And so that's why this medication is so helpful. I love these people, body positive people who are like, hey, I love my fat body. No, you don't. You just have accepted the fact that you are there and it's too hard to lose. And I get it. It is hard, and it's hard to keep off. I guarantee you that if those people could find a healthy alternative to being fat, like taking medication, they'd lose all that fat. They wouldn't be body positive. They'd be like, yeah, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not fat anymore. Being fat sucks. It's hard on your body. It shortens your lifespan. But a lot of the stuff is, if not all of the stuff, is genetically related. If you have a predisposition for it. When we were living to be 30 years old and we had to live as a natural creature in the wild, we were spending all our time hunting for food. We were hunters and gatherers. We hunted. We took whatever we could from the world around us. It's tough to get a lot of calories. That's one of the reasons why our body packs on calories. because when you found that antelope that you killed, or the bear or whatever, you ate it because you couldn't freeze the bear. The bear wouldn't last if you didn't eat it. So you stuffed yourself. So your body being able to take on excess fat was really important for survival. The problem is we don't have that world anymore. We're not active like that anymore. We're not hunting and gathering anymore, but our body still says, you know what? It's only been like 6,000 years since you guys started growing food. So, I'm still thinking that we're out on the Serengeti need all this stuff.
It is crazy to think that our brain is still saying, hey, there's a really tasty plum over there on that tree. You should eat all of them on the tree because you don't know if you're going to get one for another month.
Exactly.
And we're still here in this day and age. And I'm like, I know that I could go to the store and get another bag of Cheetos, but I should eat this entire bag right now.
I kind of wonder if honestly, if this, it could be, who knows how long it could be before this was played out, but I do kind of wonder if fat people were not the ones that would have survived 10,000 years ago, because the people that could pack on weight were the ones that would be surviving when there wasn't any food. And so I kind of wonder, like, now we look at them and like, oh, fat's unhealthy. It is. But if you were just moving all the time and, you would be good.
I just want you to push back. That's the problem. That's probably the hardest for you. You've worked out. The hardest worker outer in my life is this woman. She works out every day at 5 o'clock. But she's a bigger bone lady. And I still think part of the problem for her is that people look at her. She thinks people look at her and go like, oh, you're fat. She's like, I'm literally doing everything like that's just who I am. And society judges her for being fat, even though
that's the body positive person. When you're doing everything you can, you're trying to do it. That's where we get it. We do have a fixation in this society on being skinny for sure.
Yes.
Right. I mean, so there is that body image thing that's very, very real. And it's obviously impacts women more than men. I mean, I worry, look at magazines that are geared towards girls. It's awful. It's just like emaciated women. It's like, that's not good. I mean, so, part of this, I look forward to the point when people can take healthy medication. Now, the problem right now is that we don't have a lot of research on it. A lot of the stuff was diabetes medicine.
But everything you read about these medications I talked about say that it really is very helpful. The problem is it's too expensive at this point.
Yes, exactly. It's like $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
So it needs to come down towards $30 a month. You take it for the rest of your life because, sure, there are going to be medical trade-offs. But the bottom line is it's better to be lighter health-wise than to be heavier. So if you could take a like, look, blood pressure. My family is predisposed to have high blood pressure. And I know people that are skinny as a rail that have high cholesterol, so they take medication, right? They would be dead if they didn't take the medication. It's nothing to do with their diet. It has everything to do with the genetic markers and the switches in their body. So if you could take a medication that would make it so that you weren't obese, fat, right? I mean, and I do think we get into this little bit of trouble again as a fat guy myself, like, when people talk about obesity, like, oh, you're obese. No. We all know what an obese person looks like.
Yeah.
They're ginormous. Does it mean that a guy that's 300 pounds is, well, maybe, but most of the time it's somebody that's 600 pounds. Those are the people that have real medical issues. So not that a 300 pounder can't have real medical issues, whatever. We're not doctors, although we play one on this podcast. But I do think it is very encouraging that there is this medication out there, and it does need to come down because this is a health epidemic.
Okay, sort of back to the story. So then I don't want to say, well, you're proud or what is the word, but then Weight Watchers is saying, okay, we have the tools. But we also know what our research has about what we give you the tools, and there needs to be something added.
Wait. Okay, let's dispel that. Weight Watchers is purely a corporation that's trying to pump up their stock price. Their stock was in 2018 was $100 a share. Now it's $4 a share. Right? They're just, it's too hard. It's not they need
a new direction.
Yes. And the problem is people will pay for Weight Watchers, but they won't pay for it forever because wait for it, does not work. It doesn't work in the long term. So people will pay for it in the short term, but not in the long term. So I can assure you today, if I could take medication that would be inexpensive and would keep the weight off me for the rest of my life, I would never go back to Weight Watchers again. So what Weight Watchers done is they're buying this thing that allows people to be able to get the medication. Look, the worst thing in the world for places like Weight Watchers and Noom and other things is if this medication is healthy and effective, because they will be out of business tomorrow, right? If everyone was able to take this medication, it wasn't Wegovy or whatever that We talked about Ozempic or Ozempic or whatever. That's the one that was a diabetes medicine that the stars have been taking. The second that we get to a point where there's healthy medication, and basically what the medication does is it tells you that you're full. People that are really fat just don't have that thing that says they're full. So they eat more than they should. If you like ate a peanut and were full, you just wouldn't. I know that I pound water like it's going out of style because
that's why
I want
people
to be
get
full.
the fat surgery where
Yeah, and this medication, and that's horrible, by the way. That surgery is so invasive and bad.
Weiss, the football coach you had?
Yeah. And a lot of people they just trick their body in because it doesn't tell them they're full. It's terrible. But this medication is non-invasive. So I'm sure there are side effects like all medication. It's not a mirror, but ultimately we don't live on the Serengeti 10,000 years ago. So we have to do something about it.
Do you think by the time you go to meet your Lord, there will be a legitimate weight loss drug that has the minimalist of side effects that will be able to regulate weight in the world?
Yes, I think it's been coming like I mean, this is a tidal wave that's happening right now, that we're starting to see more and more of this medication that's being released. Now, does it mean it's where it's going to be in 20 years? Probably not. They'll probably come up with better stuff. But just like a lot of things, they fine tune it, they get it. I mean, they'll work on medication that doesn't have side effects. I mean, the bigger issue really is the pharmaceutical industry making so much money on things that people need or they'll die. So that's a big question. How that's going to play itself out is interesting.
I feel like we're playing a little bit of God here, though, right? Because in theory, if you believe in the big guy upstairs, God makes everybody unique and differently. And so he makes you to be a bigger person. And so then now we're taking the medicine, we're all going to be the same.
Nah, I don't think we'll be the same. I think that it's going to curb people's natural or unnatural inclination to overeat. Like we said, you overeat because your body tells you need to overeat. It goes back to that, I think. So in a sense, it is natural to overeat for some people. And all it's doing is saying, yeah, but we don't need it anymore. So it's curbing it. Same thing about a lot of stuff that we've learned that we do. Again, people live to be 30 years old when they were, in Stone Age time. We're living to be 80 now. So we need to do something different.
Just because we're having this discussion about Weight Watchers, I do feel like I need to confess that on Saturday night for dinner, I took the boys to McDonald's and we each ate 2 cheeseburgers and got the green shamrock shake. So literally my dinner was 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers and a shamrock shake.
I love the shamrock shake, but I can't stand McDonald's cheeseburgers. So Larry, that is truly sad, but thank you for teaching me about fat people today.